Praise the Lord, brothers and sisters. This is William the Encourager, just saying, let's pray. You know the drill. So come on, let's get with it. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord God, for this day. This is the day that you've made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And we thank you today for waking us up this morning, Lord. Thank you. And we give you glory, honor, and praise. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Well, my brothers and sisters, all week long, I'm going to be talking about this, that little tongue, that little 3-inch muscle in your mouth that can cause a fire. So listen, remember, Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So you have power in your mouth. You need to learn to control it. If not, it's going to control you and it's going to hurt people. And no one wants to be hurt. You know, no one does. We also know the damage that can be done with words spoken in anger. Proverbs 22:10 says, drive out a marker and conflict goes too. Then quarreling and dishonor will cease. Proverbs 15:4 said, the tongue that heals is a tree of life, but a devious tongue breaks the spirit. Oh my goodness. And perhaps my favorite one is Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away anger, but a harsh word stirs up wrath. Listen, I don't know about you, but I don't want to walk around fighting. Every word I say is offending somebody. And you know, it's okay if something slipped. You know, yeah, I can understand something slip or hey, you know, I was in the heat of the moment, I was upset, and everybody gets upset. But there is no need to continually condemning people, putting them down, telling people that you're not this or you're not that. You don't know. You didn't make that person. That person could turn out to be an Einstein. That person could turn out to be one of the nicest person that you ever met. But if you allow your words to destroy a person before you even get to know them, shame on you. Because what if that was you? And people putting you down and destroying your good name and talking about you're not this and you're not that. And the only thing you want to do is just get along with people and love others. But you know what? The Bible tells us. The Bible warns us of this little tongue, this little thing that's in your mouth. You know, yet some of us today talk to others like we're the star of our own political talk show. We may call it entertainment or passion, but the angry voices we listen to shape us to speak like them. It's not okay. Instead, speak the language of life. Bless someone instead of cursing them. You know, Isaiah 55:11 said, so shall my words be that go forth from my mouth. It shall not return void to me void. Listen, what God says, God means. Why can't we be of the same consistency? Say what you mean what you say. Think before you open your mouth. You know, I remember our teacher bringing us up when we were small used to say, stop, look, and listen. Stop before you say something wrong. Look at someone's face and you can see if there's hurt on it, and listen. Listen to their speech and understand that not everything is said is hurtful. So learn to govern your temple, guard your heart, because God knows what's in it. Remember, my brothers and sisters, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Roane, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask your neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
What I am going to do today is, I've done this for the last couple of weeks, and folks seem to appreciate it. I'm going to re-air last night's version of Sports Talk, and I've got Sterling's correct prognostication and preview of the Georgia game that he did for us in there. So if you tuned in last night. But if not, if you missed Sports Talk last night, Tuesday Night Sports Talk, here you go.
And welcome back to the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk. I'm going solo this evening. Jasper Young is at a Chamber of Commerce meeting in Oak Ridge. Couldn't be at two places at once, but I guess if anybody could, it would be him. But joining us, John Sleepy Williams. John, how's it going tonight?
It's doing great, Walter. Thank you for asking me to come up, and Jasper as well. And it's good to see you. About time we get back to working together again.
Oh, yeah. We, of course, have done some Facebook play-by-play and doing some shows quite a bit. Probably will do that from time to time in the future, but you're going a lot of different directions. I'm going a lot of different directions, and I know you're on Thursday night doing the middle school.
Yeah, I've been doing the voice of the Hawks this year and really enjoy that, and we got one more game left in a couple weeks. Play Norris coming in. Hawks on the road next couple weeks, or tomorrow night at Robertsville, or Thursday night at Robertsville, then next at Jefferson.
Well, talk about the Clinton Dragons to this point, which, of course, they're 0-2, and the Heritage game did not count. And tell us your thoughts on what the Dragons have done so far. I just know in the most recent game, it was quite amazing. They never could slow the quarterback and the running back down, period, and they both gained over 150 yards.
Right, I heard you coming up here. You explained it pretty well. Defensively, I think that's where Dragons are having their problems. They're giving up a lot of points, especially when we play good teams. We saw that last year as well. Teams scoring in the 40s on us, even more than that in some of the games. You just can't win football games giving up that many points. But last week, I thought we were in the game. Pretty much we got in the hole early, and we're sort of playing catch-up all night. But right before halftime, we looked like we was going to tie it up, but we had a penalty, and they brought it back. And then, you start the second half, William Blunt kicks an onside kick, recovers, and scores again. Then was pretty much just trading touchdowns after that.
Well, I wondered, the play with Maddox that went 25 yards for what would have been a apparent touchdown, and they brought it back. That was probably the turning point.
Yeah, that was a big turning point. That team was just starting to get the momentum. You get a score there. You go into halftime, 21-21. I'm not sure what the call was. I think it was a personal foul.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it was well after the play, but I didn't really see it happen. Not saying it didn't happen, but it's unfortunate we got a penalty on that.
And I know they called one taunting penalty on us, and I actually saw clearly that quarterback doing the same thing when he went in for a score, and I would have thought that they should have thrown down the towel on that.
Right. If you're going to call it one way, you need to call it both ways. I'm not I'm not a real big taunting fan guy. I know that anymore you can't really do anything. There's kids out there, they show emotion. They're not robots. They're playing the game. And anymore, I think they're a little bit too tight on those calls now. Just depends on what kind of taunting it is.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, just let the kids play. And that's my opinion on that.
Oh, yeah. I think if they call it one way on one, they should do on the other. But I think as a general rule, they should not be so tight on it. And tell us your thoughts on some of the other teams within our region. I know it seems like it's going to be somewhat tight after probably Powell. You don't know necessarily who's going to jockey for what position.
Yeah, Powell, I guess you had to put them up top right now. Interesting game. They have a Friday night. They go to William Blount. As you mentioned earlier, William Blount has a real good team. They're being ranked. I think you said 5-star preps got them ranked. But William Blount's the real deal, and that'll be a real good game right there. Other teams in the region, we talked off there about Central.
Mm-hmm.
You picked that game. You picked them to beat WYSH, and I just felt that Central, Kevin Lane, the coach there, they played DB really close that first week and put it on Fulton, and then they caught WYSH coming off the loss to Maryville, which they got beat really bad, and Central took care of business. I think I like them and Halls, and pretty much right there, and WYSH too. You don't want to discredit WYSH too much. I've heard they lost some players after the new coach come in as well, and Clinton's right there on the fringe. I thought them and William Blount, it was a good opportunity for Clinton to get a win right there, but they didn't get it. But a lot of season left. They got Carnes coming in Friday night. They got a big win over Campbell County, pretty lopsided score. So that'll probably be a competitive game with the Dragons.
Well, I would think that that will be a very competitive game on Friday. I know in recent years we a little bit have Carnes' number, but it's usually pretty close.
Right. It's been pretty tight here the last few years playing against them. We got a big win over them. I think we're out of the playoffs there a few years ago, and they had Deshaun Bishop. They'd already had number 2 seed locked up, but we really got a big win that night over them. Then next year we went over there, and Bishop was a senior, and they beat us. And then last year's game with Carnes was really an exciting game. Came down. Ortiz got a field goal there at the end. We was able to win that game, and it's always seemed like pretty competitive with Carnes. I'm not sure on the numbers. Seemed like you said, I heard you say maybe it's fairly even, the series.
I think so. I think I saw the score last year was like 21-15. It was a good win for the Dragons, but of course when Deshaun Bishop was there, sort of traded out. So.
Mm-hmm. Certainly did, but that's a pretty good series right there between Clinton and Carnes. Goes way back.
I would think. I mean, not necessarily putting particular pressure on a given team, but this is a game that the Dragons need to win. They need to win particularly against them, and Central is going to be extra hard, and then win the Campbell County game.
Right, definitely have to win Friday night, and then you go to Central next week. I think that game's winnable too. Clinton just got to put it together, especially on defense. I think offensively, we're pretty potent. We got Bryson Maddox, one of the top receivers in the state, and both our quarterbacks, Erickson, and you got Benjamin. Hopefully Benjamin's back. I thought Benjamin looked good against Oak Ridge when he was in there. But yeah, offensively, I think we're all right. You got good running back. We got good running backs. Just, defensively, we have to figure out how to stop teams. And I think that game against Central, I think we'd go over there and knock them off, especially we get a win Friday night against Carnes.
Oh, yeah. Different makeup. I was wondering that if we could have a team, which I hope the defense is not that way, but we had a super good offense in 2015 with Thackerson, and we're putting up 52 to 47 wins and games like that sort of thing. I wonder if that could happen somewhat this year.
I think it could. I look for the Dragons to be in some high-scoring games. It looks like last week's game was high-scoring. Oak Ridge game, not as much on our end, but also you just have to look at the opponent. But Dragons looking down the rest of the games, Central Halls, Powell coming in. Clinton's right there. Just going to have to put it together on both sides of the ball.
Well, John, stick around. We'll be talking to you more about Dragon history and what the Dragons have done over the past 100 years. And coming back after this break, we'll be talking to the head football coach of the Clinton High School Dragons, Coach Jake Dawson, and the Player of the Week, Braylon Hayden, as we'll return on the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk in 2 minutes. And welcome back to the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk, and glad to have us in studio, Braylon Hayden of the Clinton High School Dragon football team. He also plays basketball. Get to cover him on both sides of the ledger. Braylon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Tell us about how you've gotten into both sports, that you're a big-time athlete in both football and basketball at Clinton High School. Tell us about the beginnings of how you got into football and basketball.
When I first picked up the football, I was 3, but I was too young to play, so then I had to start when I was 4. But I didn't really start playing basketball until I was 6.
Well, tell us about your, starting early and developing onward, because you're a very accomplished football and basketball player, and I know from talking to Coach Lockhart and Coach Dawson that they think a lot of you.
So my dad, he got me into football, but my mom really helped me a lot through basketball and football. I never really had a football trainer or a basketball trainer. It's just a lot of coaching stuff and practice. Practice got me a long way. I used to hate practice, but I realized practice is where you get your work for real, unless you do after practice work.
I know your mom is very much involved in a lot of things. I wonder, in a certain sense, has she been sort of a coach to you or a mentor in a lot of ways?
Yeah, she's my mentor. That's who I look up to. Every time I wake up in the morning, I go talk to her, and then I go get ready for school.
That's what it's all about. What are the classes you like in school and that sort of thing?
I love Spanish, U.S. government, and I take Greenhouse 1 and 2 this year.
Are you looking to possibly play in football or basketball down the road?
Yes, sir. I would love to play football, but if basketball's wanted me to play basketball, then I'll play basketball. Whatever's open at the time, I'll play it.
You're quite accomplished at both, and at 6'6", a lot of folks would, I'm sure, like to have you on the basketball court.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps telling me, basketball, but I really love football more than I love basketball.
And so as far as I know, if you're going towards playing basketball down the road, what would you be majoring in probably in college, or what sort of classes would you major in?
I've been looking at business, agri-science, agriculture. I really love business, though. That's my number 1 right now.
Well, good to talk to you, Braylon, and best of luck as you get ready for, I guess I need to ask you about the game on Friday against Carnes. You'll be going for your first win of the year, and actually got a lot of good offense in this past Friday night. Your thoughts on the game against William Blount and Carnes coming up?
The game against William Blount, we just had a lot of player mistakes. The coaches did fine. We just had a lot of player mistakes, but practice will fix that. And then the game coming up Friday, I think we're ready to play right now.
Well, Braylon, I appreciate you stopping by. Best of luck on Friday and through the year, and we'll be talking to you, I know, numerous times through the season, football-wise and in basketball.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on the show.
Okay. That's Braylon Hayden, top-notch football player and basketball player for the Clinton High School Dragons. We'll return with the Pizza Express Tuesday night sports talk show and be talking to the head coach of the Clinton Dragons, Coach Jake Dawson. We'll return in 2 minutes. And we're back with the Pizza Express Tuesday night sports talk show. And with us in studio is the head coach of the Clinton High School Dragons, Coach Jake Dawson. Coach, interesting game this past Friday night. A lot of offense, and I mean a lot of offense. William Blount 48, Clinton 35. Total offense, you had more total offense than William Blount. You had 431 to 367. And I thought your offense was absolutely beyond wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I told we were talking staff meeting and everyone's talking highly about the offense. I said I'd feel a little better about it if we score 49. Obviously it's good to put good stuff on film for your kids. At the end of the day, I don't care if we win a game 99-98 or 3-0. Getting the win's a little more important, but like I said, obviously, putting good stuff on tape's always a good thing, but wish we could have scored a little bit more.
Well, you got, of course, a lot of your receivers into doing good things all the way around. You actually had a quarterback that, if I remember correctly, had over 362 yards passing or something unbelievable. That's something else.
Yeah, receivers, quarterbacks, they do a great job. We have two really great quarterbacks in our program. One was a little banged up. He'll be back. Then we play with, 7 or 8 receivers we feel really good about to be able to anytime run the full route tree. And whenever you have that, you can be very multiple, especially whenever you have people with, just such a high football IQ running those routes. You can really give people different looks.
Of course, you had Young out there and Braylon Hayden and, of course, Maddox, who does it all and continues to do it.
Yeah.
And you got Jones, and, I mean, you just keep naming them.
Yeah, no, we got some cats, yeah.
Tell us about the defense, which how are you going to plug those holes to help in the future? I know William Blount is averaging 52 points a ball game, which they did the same thing to their first 2 opponents, except you scored a lot more on them. But, what was it, Loudon that they beat 49-0, then beat Austin East 59-20. But what do you think you can do to sort of plug the holes?
No, I mean, I think it's repetitions. All that stuff starts with practice. I think your base defense comes along a little faster than your base offense. But once you start, scheming and game planning, defense, that could take a little bit longer to get all the pieces, to mesh together. Because one thing we have offensively, we know what play we're running. So, we have a really great defensive staff that do a great job. You see that a lot of times early season, kind of big play bust or maybe bad tackling early on. I think we play good defense once we settle in, but I think we'll get more comfortable week by week, and then eventually one week it'll all click and it'll be off to the races.
And of course, do you have any big injuries on your defense from that game?
No, we actually come out pretty healthy, and all the injuries that we had before, all of them are cleared up, and we look to be fully healthy this week.
And what do you know about Carnes?
Oh, it's a good football team. Coach Warren. He's been over there a few years, was even over there before he became head coach, and they're doing a great job building it. Obviously, they've got a win under their belt this season. It's a region matchup. So anytime you have that, obviously our kids, we're very competitive. We want to try to get every region win that we can. We said that was our number one goal. So obviously we're going to try our best to go out and get us a win. That'd be a really fun night.
And they, of course, scored 37 points on Campbell County last Friday, so they apparently know how to put some points on the board as well.
Yeah, offensively they do a great job. They have a veteran quarterback, really good tailback. Their tailback leads the area in rushing right now. So they do a really good job. I'm really excited about it.
And so far, as far as the region foes, looking at the standings and looking at those games, which probably don't look at them too much, but who seems to be standing out above the others?
I mean, to me right now, it's Powell and William Blount are both doing a great job. They're both undefeated in the region. Central's undefeated in the region. They're both doing a great job. So William Blount, I know those people are real fired up. They started out unbeaten, now 3-0 for the first time, and I would imagine a little while. And then Powell, they always do a great job.
Coach, good to talk to you as per usual, and we'll talk to you on Friday night after we hope a big win over the Carnes Beavers.
No, that'd be great. I appreciate it.
That's Coach Jake Dawson of the Clinton High School Dragons. We'll return with more of the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk show in 2 minutes. We're back here with the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk. And are you going to that, or am I just continuing? Oh, okay. Well, let's continue onward here as scores from this past week. Of course, William Blount over Clinton 48-35. Also, it was Cofield 40, Rockwood 12, Oak Ridge 56, Lenore City 6, Carnes 37, Campbell County nothing, Knoxville Central 29, Knoxville West 21, Loudon 15, Kingston 9, Maryville 56, Beard nothing, Midway 36, Greenback 7, Oliver Springs 35, Oakdale nothing, Powell 32, Knoxville Halls 13 on Thursday. Wartburg Central over Harriman, a close one, 37-34. Knoxville Carter 63, Union County 26. Heritage 35, South Doyle 14. Greenville 49, Northview Academy nothing. And you want to head to Sterling Hinton, Sterling the Pearl Hinton. We'll take that break, and then we'll be back with more of the Pizza Express Sports Talk.
Tennessee versus Georgia. Yeah. This game is set to be played September 13th, 3:30 p.m. Georgia Bulldogs and Tennessee Volunteers football teams have a long-standing rivalry dating back to 1899. Well, guess what? They're coming to Neyland. And we're going to party like it's 1899. You understand what I'm saying? It's going down like 4 flat tires without a spare. You better be there. Oh, it's baby. Smokey and Uga, they're going to have a race. And guess who's going to win? Smoke Dog! Let's go! When Tennessee won the first game 5-0, the two schools are founding members of the SEC and are among the conference's most successful programs. The rivalry didn't truly take shape until 1992, when the SEC expanded and placed both teams in the East Division, guaranteeing an annual matchup. Georgia leads the series 29-23 in 2. Ooh. Ha ha! Well, it's 2025. And the Vols are going to get us one. Don't miss it. It's on, baby.
And we're back with the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk. And let's talk about Week 4 of high school football. And we'll interject you, John, from time to time on this, and then go to the history of the Dragons. But Week 4, of course, our Dragons hosting Carnes. I think that's going to be dandy.
Yeah, I think so. Walter, be competitive game, I believe. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the games they played here recently have been really competitive. I think, we got the win over Deshaun Bishop when he came to Clinton, and they paid us back that next year. But for the most part, it's some good games with the Beavers.
And tell us what's your thoughts on Anderson County at Heritage, which I don't recall too often that Anderson County plays Heritage, unless it's just skipped my mind.
Right, I can't recall them either playing them. I think that'll be a really good game. I believe it's at Heritage, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Heritage is one of those teams to watch, up and coming this year. We had them first game, played about a quarter. Didn't really get to see them that much that night, but I think it'll be a competitive game over there. AC needs to be on upset alert.
Oh, yeah. And Knoxville Central at Campbell County, Alcoa at Knoxville West on Thursday. I still think Knoxville West is not going to be as good because their coach that held them so much together is not there, and I think Alcoa will have their way with it.
I believe you're right, Walter.
And Dobbins Bennett at Oak Ridge. They have played a lot over the last 50 years. I'm amazed how they just continue playing, those two.
Right, that's a rivalry. Kingsport and Oak Ridge, it goes way back, and I think this is the first time they played. I think in a few years, I believe they got that rivalry back, and it should be a real good game. Kingsport coming in, I think they're undefeated, and Oak Ridge both.
Oliver Springs at Wartburg Central, Powell at William Blunt, Oakdale at Cofield, Bradley Central at Farragut, Knoxville Fulton at Gatlinburg Pittman, Greenback at Harriman, Cumberland County at Kingston. That'll be on Thursday. Rockwood at Midway, Gibbs at Morristown East, CAK at Oneida, and Knoxville Carter at South Doyle. And now we're going to, what do they call that, change hats, and John will be putting his history hat on and talk about the Clinton High School Dragons. And I will have to say he knows more about the Dragons than I do, so we're going to hand it to him, and he's going to give a lot of the history of the Clinton Dragons, which they've been around for 100 years, and you've been around for quite a while too, and all the years that you've been covering or watching the Dragons.
Right, yeah. Walter, I know you've been around a long time too. You've been with WYSH and Charlie Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
What year did you start?
I started helping on ball games in 1971 when I was a wee tot, but actually I was 13, but, you know, it's a little bit bigger than a wee tot.
Yeah, you got a few years on me, but that's about the time I really started that I remember Clinton football. I do recall a game in '69. I remember going to a game and just walking to the stadium, and my brother graduated in '70, so it was probably the fall of '69. I can remember that's about as far back as I can remember going to a game. But 1970, I recall the Oak Ridge game, some of the moments in that, and that's what I was want to talk about. You know, instead of talking about some of the top individual players of the past 100 years, you know, y'all have done a great job with this, Jasper and Max Bertram and yourself, just putting all this together. And instead of talking about the players, I want to talk about the teams that I've seen since 1970. And I've got about 15 teams here. That's my top Dragon teams now. But you have to starting out, or not really any order, but I think you have to put the 92 Dragons at the top. I think you got to put them number one. That team, you know, they had, you know, they went 14-1, state runner-up. Had a great offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, secondary, wide receivers. They pretty much had it all, you know, that year. And you saw that. They were state runner-up, as I mentioned, ranked number one in the state most of the season. And also, they were in the USA Today top 25. I think we got up to, like, number 11. But, you know, but when you talk about these teams, you know, you got to talk about some of the players too. That you know, Alvin Taylor was in on the show and mentioned a lot of these guys like Jerry Shattuck. Like Scotty Witt and Jason Rhodey, Jason Light, all those guys. I don't really want to get in a lot of the names, but that team there, you have to have them, I think, number one. And your other teams. Pretty much, I've got some teams in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I think 90s is probably the most successful decade in Clinton Dragon history. And then recently, we've had some teams as well. But, you know, you go back to 1970 team, they ended up 9-2, and that was a team with Terry Moore, Larry Severs, Russell Williams, all that bunch, and Billy Boland's quarterback. And that's one of the games I remember. I can still see Billy Boland throwing Larry Severs that touchdown pass. Well, it wasn't a touchdown. In my mind, I want to think it was, but I went back and looked, and the Cougar we got inside the 5. I think Terry Moore ended up running it in, and we beat the Wildcats that night 18-14. And that 70 team, they went on to beat Hawes at the JC Bowl 48-12. And I was looking at that 70 team, and that year we lost to Central, and it's another team I can't recall right now who beat us, but Central had a real good team, but couldn't get in the playoffs that year because they went on by a point system. So, but Clinton was one of the top teams in the state that year. Of course, you mentioned with David C. Fritz and company on that team. The 71 team as well. They went 7. They ended up going 8-3 that year and defeated Hampton in the JC Bowl. And that was Severs, Fritz, and Moore, and Williams, and Isabel, and all those guys. That was their final game. And Bill Battle was in the press box that night. I remember he was recruiting, Moore and Williams, and he got Larry that last scholarship, I believe. But I remember getting Bill Battle's autograph that night.
I bet that was nice.
Yeah, I wish I still had it, but I don't know where it's at right now. But I do remember that and seeing Bill Battle in the press box. And the next year, the 72 team is one of the top teams that I've seen play. They went 8-3 as well that year, defeated Oak Ridge at home 9-0. I'm sure you remember that. It was a rainy night and muddy. I can remember the players running out on the field before the game, diving in the mud, and then after the game, they carried Coach Honey out there and gave him a mud bath. So, that team that year, they went to the JC Bowl as well, and they shut out West 24-0. So, Clinton we was fortunate to have that JC Bowl. A lot more bowl games back then, and but Clinton was a home team for the JC Bowl, so we were fortunate to play at home.
Wanted to ask you about another team you don't have on that list. They did not have a super good record, but they were 3-7 in 1973, Honey's last year. They did not lose a game by more than a touchdown until the last week of the season.
I don't know if I realize that or not, but I'm sure you recall that. Yeah, they was looking at some of the records tonight, and I noticed that team went 7-3. 3-7, and it was sort of surprising with the talent they had.
I mean, they kept on playing every team super close until the last game of the year, which, I guess that was against Everett or somebody, but and I think they lost that game by 2 touchdowns. It wasn't a blowout, but I mean, every one of those games, and there were 7 of the teams they played had been ranked in the top 10 or 12 in the state during the season.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Walter. And you mentioned Everett, and that's one of the teams that beat the 70 team. It was Central and Everett.
Okay.
Everett. Because after we beat Oak Ridge that year in 70, we went to Everett and we lost that game. But I think Everett, pretty much formed Maryville, which is Maryville now. Right?
Exactly.
I think consolidated with them. But you're right about 73 team. I remember we went down to Chattanooga Hickson. They had a real good team. I think we may have won that game. I'm not sure. But I do remember the Oak Ridge game in 73, mentioning some of the players on that team, Kimmy Weaver, Massey Ellis. Massey got thrown out of the game.
Exactly, at Oak Ridge.
He was really having a really good game. And I think there was a big pile up, and I heard Massey might have got something happened to him in the pile, and he retaliated.
Exactly.
And they called him and threw him out of the game. That pretty much changed it. But we lost 3-0 that night, and they had a kicker, Oak Ridge, Carson. He kicked about a 50-yard field goal to beat Clinton that night right at the end.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He went on to play for NC State. He was a kicker. But Pison, they called him. But the 76 team, that's one of the best teams in Clinton. They had Johnny Burham at quarterback, Terry Benjamin, Ricky Benjamin, running back. You had Ricky Wallace, tight end. You had Cannon and Creekmore, just to name a few of those guys. But that team started at 5-0, 76 team did, and ended up 7-3 and lost in the JC Bowl that year to Alcoa. And it snowed that night. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do. I remember that.
It snowed in November. It was pretty good snow. It was about 2 or 3 inches. It was a wet snow, but it laid there, and I always remember that. And Alcoa had a really good player, Todd Upton.
Yes.
Went on to play for Tennessee. He's a big offensive lineman for Alcoa. So Alcoa was even good back then.
And they just keep on trucking.
Mm-hmm, sure do. And so that 76 team, one of my favorites. The 81 team that year, the first playoff team in Clinton school history. That team was really fun to watch. John Miller at tailback. You had Todd Holbrook, Richard Witt, quarterback. He came in, took Rick Scarborough's place. But that 81 team went 8-2. Went on to play Farragut in the first round of the playoffs, and we lost 28-14. But that was an outstanding game. It was 14-14 in the fourth quarter, and Farragut was able to score a couple of touchdowns there. But it's that was a tough loss to take. That team, that 81 team, that was really a special team. Coach Ron Brown in his second year that year. They lost to Clinton. We lost to Kingston down there. They put time back on the clock, and they kicked a field goal and beat us. And then Oak Ridge, we lost a close game down at Oak Ridge that year. I think it was the ball. We had to snap the punt over the over the punter's head, and Oak Ridge was able to go in and score. But also the 83 and 84 team, both went 9-2. Both of them went to bowl games. You had Scott Hudson, Toby Hawkins, Mike Jones running back. Seemed like the quarterback, was it Darrell Richards?
Sounds like
back in the day. But those teams, they were really good. 83 team lost to Cotton County in the JC Bowl, 16-14. Only lost one game in the regular season. That was to Oak Ridge. And like 3 straight years, they beat us by about a touchdown. So, you know how those games went.
Oh, yeah.
And the 84 team, they also end up going 9-2, and they went to the Tobacco Bowl and went down there and played Springfield. I think we won that game. Talk about in the 80s, the 86 team with Joe Wallace at quarterback. That team went 6-4 regular season, went to the playoffs. That was our second playoff team. We went to Carter, shut them out. Carter was undefeated. Won that game 19-0. Some really good players. I mentioned Joe Wallace. You had Jimmy Longest, Cecil Scarborough was on that team.
That's one of the years you defeated Oak Ridge.
Max Bertram, I think he was on that team. He was in the studio last week. Yeah, beat Oak Ridge that year, snapped the streak. That was our first win over Oak Ridge in 72.
That's hard to believe, too.
So that was really a special win that night. It's sort of an odd score. It seemed like it was 18-6, or might even shut them out that night, but it was. We won that one, and we beat Carter that night. Then we went and had to go play Jefferson County over there, and Jefferson County had a real good team with the Collins boys.
Oh, yes. But they went on to what? Carson Newman, or one of them did, I guess.
Yeah, Georgia, and I think one was at Tennessee there for a little bit, and I think a couple of them played in the pros.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, one played with the Rams, I think, and but really Jefferson County was rolling back then. But that was one of the better Clinton teams. Go into the 90s now. The 91 team ended up going 8-3. They won their last 7 games, and that sort of set the table for the 92 team. The 92 team, we had a 21-game winning streak. They're going into the Clink Bowl, play Gallatin. But the 91 team defeated Chattanooga Brainerd in the Veterans Bowl that year down in Sweetwater. But that team was really a special team. A lot of those guys that were seniors on the 92 team was on that team. But 91 seniors, you had Jerry Graham. He was on there, really good linebacker, and Tony Duncan, running back. So
I remember going back, and I don't remember now. That's amazing. I just had a senior moment. But, back when in 92, the summer of 92, when that guy, which he passed away a few years after that in a car accident, Jim Vines, I was on BBB Channel 12 in 1992 summer. I actually predicted, I said, if Clinton has any luck at all, unless they have some super bad injuries, they will be in the state championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that team was a lot of excitement around that team coming into that 92 year, and they certainly lived up to the hype,
Oh, yeah.
Just started out beating Powell, then beat Oak Ridge, and just kept rolling, throughout the year.
Okay, you go ahead, and I think we're fairly close to the end of the show, but how much time do we have?
It's like 2 minutes till 7.
Can we go?
We can go
over a little bit.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Jasper let you go over as long as you need to.
If you want to, we'll go ahead and take a break and come back.
Yeah, take a break. We'll take a 2-minute break. This is the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk. Back in 2 minutes. And back to the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk, and let's continue where we left off, John.
Yeah, talking about some top teams since I've been watching Clinton football, go back to 1970. But we was talking off the air about the 92 team again, and you talked to Jim Vines down there at BBB, and I asked you, you said Clinton was going to be in the state that year, and they looked at you like you was crazy or something. But
that was it.
But talking about that Clinton Oak Ridge game that year, Oak Ridge started out the year number 1 in the state. Clinton was number 2. Oak Ridge won the state in 91, so they came in with a lot of fanfare. But the Dragons were number 2. But Oak Ridge, I don't know if people remember this, Oak Ridge lost to Riverdale in week 1. And, of course, Clinton beat Riverdale in the quarterfinals that year. But, Oak Ridge, it took a little bit of shine off that game, but it's still a big game. When we played Oak Ridge in 92, that was the biggest crowd I've ever seen at Clinton. It was sort of like being at Neyland Stadium, how you're going there in the south end zone trying to get to your seat in those,
Oh, yeah.
It was like that. Clinton had the old home side, right there. We were trying to get up there to get to the bleachers, and it was like I've never seen it that packed. And but we beat Oak Ridge that night. It was tough. Like I said, it's Oak Ridge is Oak Ridge. It's always hard to beat them. I don't care what it is. But we won that game 6-0. We scored early, touchdown pass Scarborough to Witt, and it stood up. In the Clinton defense. That 92 team, they'd been a lot, that defense, but they hardly ever broke, They stopped Oak Ridge, I think, about 5 or 6 times inside the red zone that night, and that was a very special win. But talking about some more teams in the 90s, the 95 team went 7-3. ended up going to the second round of the playoffs. They went to Morristown East and won 19-0, and then came home and played Lebanon and lost that game 22-16. That was a tough loss there. I think Scotty Harrell was quarterback of that 95 team, and they had a really special freshman, Jermaine Shepard, was on that team. But that 95 team was one of the few teams that made it to the second round in the playoffs. You look at Clinton's playoff history, we've only had 2 teams go to the quarterfinals. Of course, the 92 team went to the finals, but the 2023 team is the only other team that went to the quarterfinals. We had 4 other teams make it to the second round. That was been the 86 team, the 95 team, the 09 team, and the 23 team. But the 95 team was a tough team. They really were. And also the next year, the 96 team, I thought was really, even though we lost in the first round of the playoffs to Science Hill, that was a really good team. Then you go in also the 97 team, Jason Weber on it. Of course, Weber played in 96 too, the running back, Tony Cosin, quarterback. We beat William Blunt that year, first round, 28-7, and we lost to Joey Matthews in Sevier County in the second round. They beat us pretty handily that night. We beat Sevier County in the regular season that year, I believe. They gave us our first loss. We were undefeated, and Jason Weber broke off a long run back in our goal line. He ran it about 50, 60 yards, and they tackled him, and he ended up, I think, breaking his ankle.
Oh.
So we lost our big running back that year. But when we made the second round of the playoffs, that's one of the top Clinton teams, I think. Then after that, you have to go with the 2009 team. That was a real special team. They went undefeated in regular season. Actually, we were 9-0. They took a win from us. They said we had an ineligible player against Halls, the opening game, and they had to forfeit that win. But we went undefeated with Weston Hazelhurst, running back, linebacker. You had Darian Stone, Joel Chapman, big tight end. You had the Williams twins, Willard. You had Big Cat, Sissom. I just hate to call out names, but I know you leave somebody out. You can't name them all off. But,
just name the all-star cast, in other words.
Yeah, but that team, that 2019, Hazelhurst, he got hurt against Oak Ridge. And, it was really a setback there with him in there. He was heart and soul of the team. We might have made it to the state. But we beat Shelbyville in the first round, 35-6. And then we had to play Anderson County again in the second round. We just beat them in the last game of the season. And we ended up losing a heartbreaker that night. That's probably the toughest loss, besides, I guess, the state championship, that I felt personally. It's just it was that team. I really, really enjoyed watching that team, and it's one of the top teams I think Clinton's ever had. Camion Patrick, he was a freshman on that team. He was outstanding, just athlete. That team just had it all pretty much. And you go back to the 81 team, I throw in Robert Dixon. He was on that team. He was a kicker. Don't want to leave him out, but he was a special, probably the best kicker we've ever had at Clinton. But then here recently in the last, over 10 years now. The 2014 team, you talked about Tyler Thagerson earlier. That 14 team went 7-3, and they had Aaron Watson, also another running back on that team. They were really a balanced team. That was Coach Kerr's when he was here, and that year we threw the ball much as we ran it that year. We were really a balanced team, and they went 7-3. Played Cleveland, went down there, and it was a real cold night. We lost 10-7 to the Blue Raiders in the first round. But I think Thagerson, he got a concussion in that game early, but he played. He stayed in the game, but he just wasn't himself, I think, that night after that hit he took. But so that team is really one of my top teams, and I guess you have to throw the 2023 team in there with Coach Keith. Was you on that team, Cookie?
No, I was doing media for.
Just doing the media.
Yeah.
But we went to the state quarterfinal. That was a team that got hot out there at the end of the season. Defeated McMinn County in the first round, but that team went 4-6 in the regular season. Actually ended up with a 6-7 on the season, but defeated McMinn County. I don't know if we weren't really favorite to win that game, but we lost late in that year to Lenore City, if you recall. But after that, Clinton just they sort of we got down to business after that one.
That Lenore City was one of those sort of stinkum games. It just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think Joshua Keith I think he might have been, I'd heard some rumors too, he might have been playing with the concussion as well. He just wasn't himself. But he tried to give it a go, and that's one of those games. But then we beat Oak Ridge. That set the tone there. That was I remember after that Lenore City game, I remember calling in to a show and say, well, if we can win out and we get in the playoffs, Oak Ridge will be 1, we'll be 3. If we win that first round, get another shot at Oak Ridge, because you remember at home, Clinton Oak Ridge game, that was really close game.
Oh, yeah.
And we also played AC, really. We played Oak Ridge and AC back-to-back in 23. I didn't really like that going into the season, because that's two big rivals you're playing. Had to play back-to-back, especially if you lose the first one. When we lost to Oak Ridge, that was a tough loss, and AC come in here. And we was trying to get over the Oak Ridge loss, but it was another close loss to AC, but it may have affected us the Lenore City game. I think that may have had.
Yes.
We may have been sort of down a little bit, but that team had a lot of talent, and a lot of those kids went on to play in college. And I think Devon Marable's at Purdue now. I think Joshua Keith's up in Indianapolis, I believe. Some other players, I think. The other running back we had, I think he went to East Tennessee State. Recall his name, Cookie?
Chauncey went.
Yeah, Chauncey.
Chauncey Phelps.
Yeah, Phelps.
Yeah.
The team was really talented. And then we lost heartbreaker at home to Walker Valley.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah. The game with Clinton had the lead, and breaks didn't go our way, but we could have been in the state semifinals. But that's some of my top teams I've seen since 1970. Let's play for Clinton. I'm sure there's some other teams in there as well, but I guess I just pretty much went by the record and the success of the teams. Of course, that goes hand in hand.
Oh, yeah. But I'm glad that Alvin Taylor said that I think it was him and some other folks made it to where they'd have more than one team be in the playoffs football-wise, and they lobbied for that and got it to 2, and then it went to 4 after that, which I think the 1 was absolutely ludicrous.
Oh, yeah, that was back then. Yeah, if you didn't win the district, you were playing in a bowl game. And you saw that for Clinton there in the early 80s. We went to about three bowl games there, but they expanded it out. I think the 92 season was the last year of 3 classifications, and then after that they bumped it up, and they end up adding a 6 classification. So sort of.
What do you think on the 6 classifications now? Do you think that they actually needed to do that? Or I know Maryville and some of them are extra strong, but I mean, well, Alcoa is, and they keep on climbing the ladder, now a 4A. So
yeah, I think it waters it down quite a bit. There's a lot of matchups you could have if you didn't have as many classifications. Maryville, they sort of dominated there a little bit, and 5A West has some good teams. So you just wonder, if you maybe just had 5 classifications with the West and the Maryvilles, and the Powells has some good teams. And, you really don't get to see those matchups unless they play during the regular season. And then I think you started seeing that more and more, teams playing each other. Alcoa, we're down in 3A, and they move up and play in Alcoa. I mean, they move up and play in Greenville, Maryville. Of course, that's
right. West
rivalry. Yeah, West. So, but yeah, it's just different nowadays for sure. Teams seem to be just really strong. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's with players now being able to transfer. You didn't see that much back in the 80s and 90s at all, and now you got teams, just kids making teams really strong, transferring in. And
I was wondering too, and I saw this with Oak Ridge in particular. I didn't see necessarily on William Blount, but they only had 53 guys that were dressed out. And is that the norm, that it's going down a little bit these days? They don't have stockpiled, but they're top-notch players. I'm not taking anything away from Oak Ridge, because the players they have are quite good.
How many did Oak Ridge have?
53.
And William Blount?
That I'm not sure of, and we're, of course, in the area of 53 or 55.
Yeah. You may be right there. I don't know if many kids are playing football as much as they used to, but it's just it's a different game right now with the transfers. And
certainly is. Well, guys, good job as per usual, John. It's like old home week. We'll have to do this again ever so often for sure. But this is the Pizza Express Tuesday Night Sports Talk. I'm Walt Stair, and we'll be back next week with the same show. Jasper will be back from his situation this week. But, of course, the Dragons taking on Cards on Friday night. We'll have coverage beginning at 6:40 on WYSH AM 1380, FM 99.5, FM 101.1, and WYSHradio.com. We'll see you then.
Go Dragons.
You have overgrown land that's slowing you down, thick brush, invasive trees, or stumps in your way? At S&R Forestry Mulching, they don't just clear your land, they will transform it for you. Their forestry mulching service will turn chaos into clear, usable space, fast, efficiently, and no debris will be left behind. Perfect for trails, fence lines, hunting property, or fire prevention. One machine, one crew, one call. S&R